This is the talk show that takes a no-holds-barred approach to politics, where truth and integrity are the standard and the Constitution honored. From Renaissance Studios, this is Champion News Talk Radio.
Welcome to another great edition of Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net, your choice for the conservative voice. Today, our founder, Jack Roser, and myself have a very special guest. We have a lot of great information to share with you, so grab a cup of coffee and stick with us, because you're not going to want to miss this show. Right, Jack?
Right, and really the important thing is Jim Edwards is with us. And Edwards has been working with our organization for over 2 years. The former mayor of, Sycamore? Mm-hmm. He's a wizard at local politics. But more than that, what he's been doing, he's been vetting the candidates for the House and Senate here in Illinois for the last 2 years. He's had them in the chair next to him with a list of things that they are for and against. And so that the people he's vetted, we know where they stand. And this is not...
This is the Republican Renaissance PAC.
Republican Renaissance PAC that he heads. So he's in there with the candidates. He's willing to get out. And the tough part, this is not a 501c3 or C4 where you can't shake hands with him. He's been intimately, I use that word loosely, but he's been very close with these people that are running in the field, and he knows what they are for. We have their signature on the different values you've talked over with them at great length over the last 2 years. So the people that we are supporting in the Renaissance PAC, Republican Renaissance PAC, over the whole state of Illinois, and you're the guy that's driving the details of 6 + 6 - 1. That means we can get rid of Mr. Madigan, this terror of the state. I could use a worse name for him.
Sunday morning radio, don't go there, Jack.
He's been in charge of the House and this whole legislature for about 40 years, and he's to blame for all of the trouble that we've got. But we've got a bunch of really sterling people that are running, and we know it because Jim here has talked to them.
This is so exciting. Jack, the Republican Renaissance PAC, you were mentioning something called 6 + 6 - 1.
Yeah.
Mr. Edwards, Jim, what is 6 + 6 - 1?
Well, first of all, the Republicans only need 6 pickups in the House or 6 pickups in the Senate in order to maintain or to gain control.
Okay, that's 6 + 6. Where does this -1 come in?
If we get the 6 in the House and get control of the House, then that means Michael Madigan is no longer Speaker of the House. So that's the -1, and that's a big one.
That is a big one.
Make that a giant capital 1, by the way, because that is, like Jack talked about, he's been in control for decades, and 40 years ago, Jack, you can tell us about what a great state this was and the vibrant economy in Chicago and Illinois, and it has gone downhill, and largely responsible for that one guy who decides whether we're going to vote on this or that or not vote on this. It's been in his hands.
What is the most crooked state in the Union?
Illinois.
And who's been in charge?
Mikey Madigan.
Number
Madigan.
one.
What's the most broke state in the whole Union?
Illinois.
And who's been in charge?
That's right. Could you imagine?
And who's been getting all of the money that he's taken from the teachers' dues?
Teachers' dues, trial lawyers, SEIU, but mostly the teachers' unions.
Who's the rich person? Is it a Democrat or a Republican?
I'd like to see the net worth of all these Democrats before and after they've been in office.
Who is the guy that arranged all of the districts so he gerrymandered the whole state? Who's the guy that did that?
Yeah, Michael Madigan.
Now,
Michael Madigan.
Wait a minute, though. That is a political move. That was a smart political move. If the Republicans had
He's
control,
a rat. Listen,
well,
what he did is he disturbed all the relationships between people and the representatives they had, and he did it for his own selfish reasons because he knew he was going to be held accountable for the crummy state that the state of Illinois is in, and that he dominated all the time, and he thought he could gerrymander the whole state, and that is Madigan.
Well, now, since the state is gerrymandered, Jim, by Michael Madigan, what are the chances, really, of the Republicans winning 6 in the House and 6 in the Senate?
Well, I happen to think, and people ask me that all the time, do we really have a chance? Because unbelievably, 40 or so percent of the state.
Look at the money he
Senate-
gets.
Well,
Who's
that's
rich?
right.
He's the richest politician in the whole state by far. Nothing compares with the money that Madigan's got.
Plus 40% of the state Senate and 34 or so percent of the state rep races have no Republicans running. So people say, is it possible to win?
30, say that again.
We can't buy it. It's a good thing that the Tea Party is here, that are
Well-
working on values, because the money that's poured into everything, he just poured what? Another $100,000 into a rep race up here in Lake County?
A so-called independent, which is ridiculous.
On top of the other money he's poured in, suddenly here's another $100,000. $100,000, I can't give more than what, $5,000 to any candidate? And Madigan
what,
can turn around
Jack?
and give $100,000?
Now, wait a
We
minute.
should talk, we're going to get off into some tangents here, but we should talk about that a minute. Because there used to be a guy that was a Republican in that district named Bobian.
Yes.
And now we had a primary run, and David McSweeney won that primary. And, he's
As
a
a
good
Republican?
candidate. Right. And so Bobian's wife, Dee Bobian, now is running as an independent against David McSweeney.
Because she lost the primary.
And she's getting
she
all
wasn't
kinds
even
of money.
in the primary, was she?
She's getting money from, no, because she's running as an independent. So she's, because her candidate did not win against the one she liked, didn't win against McSweeney in the primary,
Oh.
she decided to run as an independent. She's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars from, guess who?
Madigan.
Michael Madigan.
Rich
Wow.
Mr. Madigan.
She's
Let's get rid of
caucusing
this
with Madigan.
idea that they're a bunch of rich Republicans, because it isn't. The real steam in the Republican Party is now coming from the Tea Party and some of the good stalwarts that most of the people that are behind this election in the Republican Party are not rich folks. And if they even were trying to put any money in, Madigan has put limits on how much money can go, typically $2,500, $5,000. About $20,000 is the most that anybody can do. But the limit for Madigan?
There is none.
There is none.
He's-
None. And where does he get the money? He takes
pensions.
He takes it from the trial attorneys and from the teachers' dues.
Yeah.
The teachers are being tapped out of their own money by Madigan, turned to his rotten Democratic
That's
politics.
right. Incidentally, the teachers can get a refund on a lot of their dues because of that Supreme Court decision.
We have to
And
make
there'll
a
be a
whole
lot
radio
more heard
show
about
on
that.
that.
The
Yep.
teachers
We
ought to get
should.
their money. Legally, they're entitled to get their dues, 80% of their dues back.
That's right.
Let's talk about
Interesting.
6 + 6 - 1. We do have to do a show on teachers getting their money back.
Yeah.
Now, Jim, we were talking. You said how many non-contested races for the Democrats are there? Again, you were saying 35 in the House.
Roughly 40% in the Senate and 33 or so percent in the House. No Republicans running.
Why are there no Republican candidates running?
That is the question of the year, because that should
There
not
are more running
happen.
now this year than before.
Yeah,
Because particularly in Chicago and Cook County, we've got people running that were formerly afraid to be seen as Republicans because the retribution from the Democrats that are there, especially in Cook County and Chicago, it's lethal.
Yeah.
Well, you've got Deb Gordill's working really hard with
Well,
putting
that's brand
candidates
new.
in there.
We've
Republican
opened 3
Renaissance Pack.
offices in the city and one in Cook County and 2 in the city, but there have been no Republican thing going because of the very corrupt nature of the state of Illinois, and
That's it.
particularly in Cook County.
Yeah.
The Democrats have fixed it, so any businessman that raises his head, they'll cut it off.
Jim, I'm very interested to hear with the gerrymandering that Michael Madigan did. You were saying that is there a chance that Republicans can take over? Now that I hear these facts that there's 33% in the House and 40% in the Senate, that there's not even a Republican candidate, how is the Republican Renaissance PAC, how's the Republican Party going to get to this goal of the 6 + 6 - 1?
First of all, let me mention that as long as I'm working with Jack, that will never happen again. That 34 and 41% or whatever it is, that'll never happen again.
What is your
in the
title
future.
from the Republican Renaissance PAC?
Executive Director.
You're the executive director. You are the You're the man.
Yeah, we will not allow the party, no matter what any of the leaders in the counties do. There's one, for example, that's an R18 district. 18% more Republicans than Democrats. No Republican running. That is part of it. You should do a whole show on that.
That used to be heavily Republican, but the party took a dive.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it's pathetic.
that's
It's
compelling.
Really pathetic.
That
It's what
is
John Cass
failed leadership.
calls the bipartisan culture of sleaze. Now,
But
we're
what
going to
has
stop
happened
that.
really is with a miserable failure of the run for governor, which never should have happened. The leadership of the party's gone, and we, active Republicans and the Tea Party, are now the political force in the state of Illinois.
When we come
That's
back.
right.